How's it going, YouTube? Welcome to the Bars Cars YouTube channel. So on this episode, we're going to be talking about rust proofing. In this example, we're going to be using my 2013 Silverado for some things you can do for some rust proofing. A lot of what I'm going over, to me, covers more trucks. You can use it on your cars, old resto stuff, whatever. So let's start with how rust starts. Most people don't really think about where and how it starts. They just know that, hey, I'm looking at, in the case of this 13 Silverado, this one doesn't have it, but if you live in the north, you know that a lot of these trucks start getting rust bubbles and holes right here, starting in the wheel arches, and then it kind of moves forward down into the rockers and has problems there. If your truck's been left go a long time, you might be dealing with holes in the bottom of the frame and the box frame. So rust usually starts from the inside, not the outside. I'm not saying it can't start on the outside, but the point I'm trying to make here is on this bed side, you have this inner wheel tub in here. This is the inside half of it. There's an outside half of it that has a spot welded seam on here, and it comes up and it meets. I have plastic liners in here right now, but there's a seam that starts right here where it meets, and it comes out really close to this outside skin. So you wind up having this little trough, and it's not very wide. It's only like, you know, down at the bottom, it might only be like 1/4 inch or something, but it's open. On these trucks specifically anyway, it's open behind the tire up into there. So you're driving down the road, say it's winter time, you got salt, you got brine, you got all this dirt on the road, the tire's kicking it up as it comes off, and it slings it up, all that slushy dirty water and salt mix, it comes up and it just throws it inside the bedside, and it winds up laying in this trough. The inside of the beds, and this is specific to these trucks, but this is the same for a lot of trucks nowadays, the inside of these bed panels and rocker panels and stuff like that, they only have a e-coat like primer on them. It's not really a good rust proofing agent. It's not a good sealer. So even this truck, I will show you here in a little bit, the primer is starting to peel off inside here. It was getting some small rust bubbles on the inside. It hasn't made it through to where I'm having any problems on the outside yet. But before it gets to that point, we're going to clean all that out. We're going to seal it over, and we're going to hopefully stop that and preserve these bedsides for hopefully forever. But if nothing else, we're going to greatly extend their life. And what we're going to start with doing that is you're going to start by cleaning this. So I'm going to show you here in a minute. If you take this taillight out, there's just 2 screws. You pop it out, and there's some holes in here, and you can take a pressure washer, or a garden hose works, but you really should have some pressurized water and some soap to get in there and really clean it, and you can spray up through there and you can get a lot of cleaning done. Another thing you can do is actually, on these trucks specifically, that hole right there you can use for a tie down. That goes in between the inner and outer panel on the bedside, and you can see right down into the backside of the wheel arch on the bedside. So if you're washing the truck or cleaning it, it's a good idea. You can go through that hole and pressure wash, stick the pressure washer nozzle down in there and flush and clean all that dirt, that salt, and all that kind of stuff out of there, and try and keep it clean so it's not laying in there causing more rust. For the first part, this is going to be like a 2-part treatment, at least in the bedside. Some of the rest of the truck, I'm only going to use the second part of it. But for in here, because I know I can see that some of that coating is peeling off, we're going to be using this Eastwood internal frame coating. I bought it in black. I think they have it in like a green, like e-coat primer color too. So what this is this is a paint, and it's got a like a rust inhibitor encapsulator in it, whatever. Kind of think of like, not quite like POR 15, but sort of similar. But it's in an aerosol form, and it's supposed to, you need to have a clean surface, but it doesn't necessarily have to be like perfectly scuffed and rust free and all that stuff. It's just designed to go in there and seal everything off and prevent any rust from further growing. So this stuff is pretty good. I've used it on some other stuff before. It sprays in, it's kind of thin, so it runs into all the little cavities and crevices of everything, so it'll fill in that area where like this lip is spot welded together, and it'll kind of run in and fill all those little crevices and gaps. And you apply it, it's got these nice long straw nozzles on them, and this has a fan pattern on the end of it. I don't know if you can see that, but there's like 5 holes in the end of that, and it sprays it outward, so it'll just kind of spray it all around in there and coat everything. And it's, like I said, it's kind of thin, so if it doesn't quite hit exactly where you want to, it'll kind of run down and fall in. So this is going to be part 1. I'm going to try and do, hopefully I can do 2 coats of this to ensure that I got good coverage inside. We're going to put that on. So I got 2 cans. I'm only going to be using that in the bed sides, because that's just where the main rust happens on these trucks. And then I have 6 cans of this fluid film. This is black, fluid film black. They use it for, it's designed to be kind of an undercoating and a sealer for rust prevention. And I got this off of Amazon. You get a 6-pack with this. It also has one of these fanned straws, similar to what Eastwood comes with theirs, their paint. And this stuff will also spray a nice big wide fog and fan. And this fluid film kind of almost sets up, gives it like a waxy texture when it sets up, so it stays. It's not like you're just spraying like a penetrating oil in there or something. So it'll kind of spray in there and almost set up and give it a nice coating. So once we're done with this coating and I let it dry, so this is going to be kind of multiple parts filming this, but I'm going to spray some of this in there. This is going to set up. We're going to hopefully put 2 coats of that on the inside of the bed to ensure some coverage. And then for a 3rd layer of some protectant, we're also going to be taking that and flooding it through the frame rails. So if you have a truck or a car or whatever that has a boxed frame, the coating on the inside is maybe non-existent or it's not very good. So some of the trucks in the north have problems with the salt and the dirt gets in the frame rails, and nobody really washes it out because maybe they either don't think about flushing all that out of there, or they might wash the underside out and don't really get it very well. So I've also flushed the inside of the frame out. There's a couple holes I'll show you later that you can kind of stick a pressure washer in and flush it out the front and the rear. So we're going to be putting that inside the frame rails. We're going to put it for a 3rd coat inside the bed sides. We're also going to put it in the bottoms of the doors and in the rocker panels. There's some plugs and stuff I'm going to show you so you can stick that straw up in there. But if you have a newer truck that doesn't have any rust yet, people too often don't think about rust prevention until they already have bubbles or rusty holes in the bed sides or the doors or whatever. So, you know, this is about $120 or so here with shipping, taxes, and everything for a couple cans of this stuff and a few hours of your time and some cleaning and spraying all this stuff in there. You can greatly prevent a lot of rust from happening. And it's, you know, trucks aren't getting any cheaper. You can help hold on to yours a little while longer because the body's holding up a little better. So let's get started. Okay, so we got the taillight out. You can take a look in here. I got a light shining up inside the bedside and you can see what I'm talking about. So kind of hard to see in there, but you can see all that primer peeling off in there, and there's some, you know, it's not real bad, but there is some light surface rust starting. So, and over there you can see better. You can see how tight that trough is, kind of where the 2 panels meet. And that is the point of using this stuff, is you need something that will run down in and fill that crevice, and you need to get that cleaned out really well, because that tight gap, it can fit, you know, a lot of little dirt and rocks and all kinds of stuff down in there. So you got to get it flushed out really good, shoot a bunch of water through there. That's why pressure washer works really good, more so than just like rinsing it with a garden hose. So now that we got all that cleaned out and prepped, we can go ahead and spray the Eastwood coating in there. All right, so here's your straw in here. It helps if you lay this thing out for a while and let it stretch out, straighten out. And we got some plastic laid down so we don't make so much of a mess on the ground. Anything drips out, cover the wheels up. So let's get started. Okay, so we got the Eastwood coating sprayed in there. You can see, actually there's a little bit of a shiny spot there. I did a little test patch on the fluid film, make sure everything was spraying good. But you can see we got the rust encapsulator, paint, whatever you want to call it, sprayed in there. I did use both cans between just two bedsides, so it does run. So put some plastic down, you can see some of it, you know, ran out over the tire and whatnot. So now that we got that, I'm gonna go a step further. You can stop there on a lot of things, but I'm gonna go one step further. We're gonna put some fluid film over it just for a second layer of protection. And then I've fluid filmed this truck once already, but we're going to be fluid filming the rockers and the insides of the doors. And actually on this time, and I didn't do this before, I have cleaned the inside. These trucks specifically have box frame rails under the cab, and they can kind of get filled up with dirt and stuff, and you know, hold water. The drain holes will get plugged up. So I've got that all flushed out and cleaned already with a pressure washer. So we're gonna take a couple cans of fluid film and we're gonna fill all that in for a nice coating in there to keep the frame from rusting on the inside. So one other thing I've done that can help you, these straws always come coiled up when you get it out of the package. So I have got an old coat hanger. You can use some mechanics wire, whatever you got laying around, and I have straightened it out and zip tied the straw onto it, so you can, it makes it a lot easier when you're trying to go back in here. So I'm sticking through these holes and kind of, I can get all the way back in to there. It also helps you be able to steer it. In my case, I'm going through that hole up there in the stake pocket of the bedside. You can get right down into this area as well, and it helps when you're coming up from the front side. I can stick it up in this little bit of a bend that I've got in the top. You can bend it however you need to make it fit. Kind of helps it make it around the curve on the front of the wheel well here. So okay, so I got this bedside sprayed. I'll repeat the process on the other one, but you can see what it looks like afterwards. So got the camera stuck in there. You can see it's kind of all shiny and a little greasy looking now. Let me see if I can move the light around and get you a little better. So you can see we've kind of got everything flooded and covered. Be generous with that stuff. I got 6 cans of it here. I used half or 3/4 of a can probably in this bedside. I'm gonna finish it off over the other one, spray a little more in. So I bought 6 cans of this. I think it was 65 or 70 bucks, something like that, on Amazon. So this is not that expensive. If you need a couple more cans, go buy a couple more, spray it in there. This stuff does kind of set up, like I said, it's liquid now, but once it's in there for a few days, it does kind of, you know, I'm not gonna say it hardens, but it does set up a little bit more so than just like a regular penetrating oil or something like that, which it does work for. The regular fluid film, I chose the black in this case just to kind of blend in with, you know, some undercoating and some paint and all that kind of thing in there. But that is a cheap, easy way for you to keep the bed sides from rusting out on one of these trucks. Okay, so real quick tidbit, we're under here on the rockers of this truck, and most vehicles are going to have something like this. So if you look right here, actually this is already a little fluid fill coming out. This is a plastic cap, so stick a pick or screwdriver in under there and you can pop it right out like that, and you got a nice open hole, and you can feed that wand in. There is some smaller ones right here, and if you open the door on these trucks, there's another plug that comes in from the side on the outside of the rocker. There's a couple different layers. It's kind of dinged up, but you can actually see there's the very inner, there's a mid panel, and then the outer panel. So you need to spray some in this side and through this plug and in these outside holes to get coverage on all 3 layers of the rocker panels on these trucks. You know, this is just specific to an 07 to 13 truck, but your vehicle may be different, but that is what we're going to be doing here. Also try and spray a little in these cab supports and stuff like that underneath here, and we'll go ahead and get that done, and we'll move on to spraying in the frame, a few other things, and get this all wrapped up. So I didn't get to record it. It's really hard to film doing this and not get the camera all greasy and covered in fluid film, so I'll roll under here and show you. I got this rocker and frame rail done. kind of hard to see in the frame rail, but you can see it's kind of shiny around the holes. Inside the frame there, we got all the fluid film sprayed up in there. Same on the rockers. You can see some of it kind of starting to drip off of these little drain holes. Again, just, you know, pop some of these plugs out, and there's some of the doors I'll show you here. Just flood everything in nicely and get some good coverage with the coat hanger on the end of that straw. You can see it's nice with that bend in the end. You can kind of twist it and it'll angle where that fan's going a little bit, and you can make sure you get good coverage. Right here is that plug, the plug I was talking about. There's one here, there's one in the back doors, and you can run up to the front, run to the rear, and you can get everything covered inside. I'm gonna need to order 2 more cans. The 6 cans isn't quite gonna do everything I want to do because I still want to get the door bottoms. So easy way to do the door bottoms, I'll kind of pull this off already. That's just little Christmas tree clips, and there's some holes where the clips go in. You're not gonna be able to use the coat hanger with this, but you can fit just the straw in there and kind of let it lay in the bottom of the door. Pull all that off. You can spray everything in there, start at one end and repeat the process from this end, and you should be able to get the whole bottom of the door covered. So like I said, I'm gonna have to order 2 cans. So maybe if you're gonna do this job, I recommend maybe you buy 8. I've got 1 in each bedside, 1 in each rocker panel, 1 in each frame rail. So if you do that both sides, that's 6 cans. So the doors, I figure the door area in the bottom of the door is a little smaller. I ought to be able to put half a can in each door, so 1 can per side for this ought to cover the doors. And that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. Later on, we're going to probably pull the bed off and do some cleaning, some undercoating, just do some touch up, try and get everything covered up on the outside. These trucks in specific and newer GM trucks, like K2X chassis, I think the T1Xs are the same way. GM put this terrible wax coating on the frame. It doesn't stay. So mine was kind of peeling off. I had pressure washed and cleaned, and I've already done some undercoating on this thing, but I had some spots that I've missed, and I didn't pull the bed to get the top of the frame nice and clean. So that's probably gonna do it for this video, guys. So remember, take care of your rust before you see it, because if you see it on the outside, it's probably already too late. You know, 150 bucks worth of material now can save you a lot of headache later and a lot of money in body work. Or you might just say, screw it, I'm done with the truck, sell it. You know, they aren't getting any cheaper, so spend a little bit of time, not a lot of money, and invest in it and try and seal it up, make it last as long as possible. So thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next episode.